You are now watching, By the Minute, where we highlight unsolved, unidentified and missing cases across the nation. Today we head to Arkansas. Malvern, Arkansas. October 18, 1984. An auto accident would end fatal, but the victim's identity remains a mystery. Today, we ask our viewers for help in getting his name. A driver would pick up our victim who was hitchhiking in Louisville, Kentucky. The pair were headed en route to Houston, Texas. Both guys would stop for breakfast close to Benton, Arkansas. Then they would get back on the road headed to Houston. The driver would be a bit tired and let our victim drive. While the two switched, the driver would fall asleep until suddenly he was awakened in water. It was 4 hours into the switch when the driver would realize that the inside of the car was filling up with water and would get out of the vehicle. Our victim did not. Authorities would get to the scene and remove our victim from the water, but he was already under for 15 to 30 minutes. Our victim was taken to the hospital where he would succumb to his injuries 2 days later. Authorities have been unable to get a name to our victim and have referred to him as the Hot Spring County John Doe. Here is an artist rendition. Throughout investigation, it is believed that the victim is from New Haven, Connecticut, and his final destination was towards California. As this story stretches miles across the nation, our viewers do as well. Someone out there may know the identity of our John Doe and can finally get answers to his family, who may be unaware of the tragedy that took place upon his travels. Our John Doe is described as a white male, between 25 to 35 years old, 5 feet 8 inches and 167 pounds, with medium to dark brown hair that hung about 6 inches long, with brown eyes, a small circular scar on his left ankle and a brown bushy beard. If you know the identity of our John Doe, please contact the Arkansas Crime Lab. Shannon Hills, Arkansas. July 6, 2013. For a town with a population of less than 5,000, murder is rare and those resources to solve homicide cases are also scarce. Today we ask our viewers for help. Bryant Crocker, 44, father, wouldn't make it to work and his job would get in contact with his family. Bryant's stepfather would check on him around 10 a.m. and realize Bryant would be shot in his bedroom. Bryant's stepfather would contact police and tell them that he believed he heard fireworks at 5 a.m. that morning. Bryant bought a ton of fireworks to put on a show for the community. Unfortunately, he was never able to. Bryant was a star football player in high school, which granted him a position with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Bryant would unfortunately take roots upon the wrong path that would lead him into prison. But after incarceration, Bryant worked at a local car dealership and through his hard work became a manager. His family believes that whoever did this to him, he may have met this person before turning his life around and that he had to know the suspect. As there was also no sign of forced entry. Shannon Hills Police Chief has stated that his department does not have the resources available to investigate a murder investigation. Shannon Hills, Arkansas holds a population of 4,567 as reported in 2021. Shannon Hills Police have paired with Arkansas State Police for assistance in this case. Across the nation, we see how the lack of resources can withhold us from answers, but we also see that when those resources and new tips become available, crimes from the past are solved. Bryant's family feels a void without him, but they continue to raise awareness. Let's stand with them and the Shannon Hills community, letting them know that we are here keeping this story in the light. Please, if you have any tips, contact the Arkansas State Police. Magnolia, Arkansas. July 20, 1978. The potential transfer of 2 properties leaves us with unanswered questions on an art instructor's whereabouts. A concerned mother would come into the police station and be met with familiar face. A dispatcher on duty would notice the look on the mother of his high school classmate's face and ask her if everything was okay. The mother would state she was worried about her daughter, the two would begin working on a missing persons report. Mary Jimmie Shinn, 25, also went by Bobo, was an art instructor and had her own studio space on Magnolia Street. Mary was also involved with real estate. She had a renovated property, placed an ad in the paper, and she received a call from an interested buyer. It was on July 19, 1978, Mary would receive a call from an unknown man that wanted to see the property. Investigators believe Mary met with the man around 4 p.m. that day to show him the home. The unknown male would tell Mary that he wanted to trade his property for land that he owned on Taylor Highway in exchange for the property she was selling. The next day, July 20th, the unknown male would contact Mary again around 11 a.m. He asked to see the home, but he was unable to get to the property, as there was something wrong with his car. The car would be getting serviced at Jordan Brothers Pontiac located at East Main Street. Mary would tell the unknown male to meet her across the street from the Jordan Brothers Pontiac at EZ Mart. Mary would leave around 12 noon. Around 1 p.m., witnesses would remember seeing Mary's car and get a description of the unknown male. The male was described as a white, in his mid-20s, 5 feet 8 inches, weighing between 185 and 200 pounds with a heavy build, overweight, and dark, curly hair. The male also had a lazy stroll. Mary's car, a blue 1976 Buick Special, would be found abandoned in the Smitty's grocery store parking lot 114N, Dudney Road. The car was found unlocked, keys still in the ignition, sneakers under the brake and accelerator, and her purse was still inside. Missing from her purse was an address book. Investigators would also determine that the car was driven in an area where grass and seeds would be left inside the car when the car doors were opened and shut. Investigators would also find fingerprints inside the vehicle and believe with the help of DNA and advancements in forensics that they will be able to link a suspect to this crime.
Magnolia, Arkansas, July 1978. A local art teacher who dabbed in real estate told friends she was going to show a house to a man who responded to her ad in the newspaper. Little did they know that would be the last time they'd hear from their friend again. Mary Bobo Shin was 25 years old when she disappeared.
She walked in and she looked worried, and I said, "Miss Shin, are you all right?" And she said, "Well, I'm worried about Bobo."
Cliff Knowles was working as a police dispatcher when Bobo's mother reported her missing. He went to school with Bobo.
So I immediately got on the radio.
Bobo's car had been found behind a local grocery store, and clearly something was wrong.
The car was there, the windows were open, her shoes were on the floor, her purse, all her belongings, everything was just scattered all through the car.
Gravel, dirt, grass. There were some latent impressions.
Fingerprints were found inside, but they've yet to be identified. The sheriff thinks the person who committed this crime is local.
The best timeline that we can put together from the time she disappeared until her vehicle showed back up at Smitty's grocery store parking lot is approximately 57 minutes. So that vehicle didn't go very far.
44 years later, this case may be cold, but it's not closed.
I never give up. The answer's out here.
In a cemetery just outside Magnolia is a headstone in remembrance of Bobo, and though she's been declared legally dead, there's still no closure for her family.
Both her parents died not knowing what happened to their daughter.
If you have information on this case, call the Columbia County Sheriff's Office at 870-234.
Mary's family has hired multiple private investigators and never stopped giving up hope. Mary would be declared legally dead, but investigation into her case still continues. With help and tips from the community, we can get justice for Mary. She was a hard worker and loved by many. Please, if you have any tips about this case, contact the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. Galloway, Arkansas. November 26, 2006. A young woman working at a truck stop would become a victim to a crime, today the FBI takes lead on bringing her justice and seeks tips from the community. Tracy Jones, 19, worked at the Pilot Truck Stop and Petro Shopping Center located near the Galloway exit on Interstate 40 in North Little Rock. Tracy would work selling magazines, and it was on November 15, 2006, that she would be last seen at work. Investigators would work the missing persons case until November 26, 2006, that the case would unfortunately turn into a homicide investigation. In Memphis, Tennessee, detectives would determine that Tracy's body was found in a field off I-40. Medical examiners would conclude that Tracy was bound with duct tape, sustained several knife wounds to her head and upper body. Detectives believe that whoever did this to Tracy may be or may have been working in the trucking industry. Tracy was only 19 and working when someone would brutally take her life. The suspect or suspects in this case must answer for their crimes. The FBI is offering a $25,000 reward for tips that lead to an arrest and conviction in this case. Please, if you have any tips, contact your local FBI office. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. March 16, 2007. A young man would be murdered and detectives are asking for tips from the community to get answers on who is responsible for this ferocious crime. Two people walking by would call the police around 10 p.m., March 16, 2007, as they think they would see a lifeless body in the middle of the street. Police would arrive at Wilbur West Road and find a young man's body with multiple gunshot wounds. Detectives recall the scene as one of the most violent murders they have seen and know, whoever did this wanted our victim gone. Our victim would be Brandon Savage, 20. Brandon would be seen earlier that night near 26th and Beach Street in Pine Bluff. Detectives continue to interview people of interest and find out who is responsible for this homicide.
Worst and most violent they've ever seen. A 20-year-old man shot, almost execution style, and left on the side of the road just outside of Pine Bluff. They want to solve this case now, but they need help.
March 16, 2007, Jefferson County Dispatch receives a call to Wilbur West Road, where two passers-by made a gruesome discovery.
Two witnesses reported seeing what they believe to be a dead body in the middle of the road.
When deputies arrived, they discovered a young man's body riddled with bullets. That young man was 20-year-old Brandon Savage.
And the killer wanted to make sure that the individual was dead. It didn't survive based on the number of times Mr. Savage was shot. We don't know whether or not it was one person or multiple people.
Please, if you have any tips about this case, contact the Jefferson County Criminal Investigation Division. Jacksonville, Arkansas. June 9, 2004. A man goes missing after meeting with someone. Days later he would be found dead. Jesus Sylvia, 39, would be reported missing on June 9 from Jacksonville. Police would begin tracing Jesus' steps. He would last be seen the day before on June 8. Jesus was going to meet with an alleged drug trafficker. It wouldn't be until June 24, 2004, that police would finally find Jesus, but his identity remained unsolved for some time. Police would get a call to Rio Vista Road. There they would find a deceased male. Forensic examiners would identify Jesus and determine that he died from blunt force trauma, and his case remains an active homicide investigation. There are few details available about Jesus' case, but with tips from the community we can finally get answers and justice. Please, if you have any tips for this case, please contact White County Sheriff's Office. You can submit tips anonymously. Searcy, Arkansas. July 29, 1994. A man taking off from work for a family trip would later be found shot in his bedroom. Marlon Bradley, 27, also known as Marty, a father and husband who worked as a truck driver. Marty would work for the company Agri-Turf. Marty needed August 5, 1994 off, and he would request that time off on July 19, 1994, and specifically stated the reason being was to go out of town on family business. But, by August 5, the police would already be working on a homicide investigation. It was July 29, 1994, Marty and his wife and children would be home. Marty's wife and the kids would be leaving the home at 3:30 a.m., as they were prepared to head to Louisiana, but Marty stayed behind. Police would be called to the residence later that evening around 4:12 p.m., and find that Marty would be found dead in his bedroom. Marty was found laying in his bed with blood on his face from a gunshot wound. The bullet found was a .38 caliber. Marty lost his life at the young age of 27. Help us keep this case in the light and make sure that whoever is responsible for this crime will be sentenced and out of the shadows of our community, harboring the secret they are a murderer. If you have any tips about this case, please contact the White County Sheriff's Department. Arkansas holds a population of 3 million as reported in 2021. Arkansas ranks as number 48 out of 50 for the safest places to live. Arkansas has a crime rate of 7.1%. The poverty rate of 17.2%, making Arkansas the 7th highest in the nation. Communities across the nation need our help more than we know. Together we can help each other stay safe and get justice by simply spreading awareness. Help us get tips for these cases that we shared by simply sharing this video. Together we can all help keep our streets safe, by the minute. Thanks for watching.